On today's episode of WatchJRGo, we go get the last couple parts to finish up the things that need buttoned up in the front end of this engine bay. What is going on, guys? I'm WatchJRGo, and today we're back with the 2003 325i, and as you can see, that cheap car wash last night did not get it clean enough, not one bit. It's just, you can see there's nice deep blacks underneath all the dirt, but it's gonna need a real wash. We're gonna have to hand wash it, but we'll get that done and make everything look clean again. That said, what I have to do is go back to the salvage yard right now and get the coolant, the thermostat housing that goes on the front of the engine. It has like a pinhole. It's not really like leaking, but there, as you can see, the coolant like bubbling. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace that. We're gonna replace the EGR, which is the source of the exhaust leak. Actually, the air pump solenoid that mounts onto the side of the exhaust, and that should solve all the noise. Then I need the washer fluid pump connector. That connector kind of broke in half. It's probably still fine, but I'm gonna go ahead and solder in a new connector anyway, make sure everything is good to go. There's one more connector on the front of the engine. One wire broke on that. I think that's the source of our check engine light. As soon as I get back, we'll have to scan it, see what's going on, and then we'll go ahead and replace that connector and hopefully clear that check engine light up. Once again, huge thank you to these guys for loaning me these guys. Invaluable for pulling out that body yesterday. That's impressive that that's still going down the road. Look at the stance. And we're back at the salvage yard to get the last couple things we need. Jake's here because happy Thanksgiving, y'all. He got off early. So he was like, wanna do something? And I was like, yeah, I'm always down to work. So a couple of people correctly mentioned that, like, what are you gonna do about a fan? Well, this car is an auto and it has a mechanical fan and an E-fan. Mine is a manual and it doesn't have the heat exchanger right down here for the transmission fluid. It's a liquid to liquid cooler that hooks into the radiator, and I'm sure the radiator has more capacity and has more heat in it. My car only has one fan, so we converted that to be the front fan instead of the rear fan, and now it all fits in there. It's packaged nicely and there's room to work on the front of the engine. So the only tricky thing here is I unfortunately need the coolant elbow off there, and this fan's in the way. So we're gonna have to try to figure out a way to get it off without the fan tool. Also, the side of my airbox cracked. It's not actually like bad because the filter area still seals, but we got a new airbox. Thermostat housing, EGR, airbox, and a couple of wiring connectors that we needed. We are good to go. This was a super short trip. I needed way less stuff than I thought I needed. $20 later, we're out the door. So let's go throw some parts on this car. Jake and I are back at the house with the BMW, and I stopped by German Motor Works here in town where Johnny works. He's the owner that was doing Tyler's 760, the V12 car. And I was like, hey, do you have a thermostat housing gasket? And he was like, it might be your lucky day. So he pulls out this giant bucket of gaskets, and it turns out he didn't have one, but he did have the secondary air gasket. And I was like, how much? And he was like, just take it. And there was a ton of them in there. So I was like, all right, man, thank you so much. And then I called O'Reilly's. O'Reilly's does have the housing gasket. It'll be here in an hour. Since it's gonna be here in an hour, we're gonna go buy another car.
Things you do when you're bored.
Got an hour to kill, we better buy a car.
Yeah.
Also, for everybody that's wondering, my Audi R8 parts, I called Walser Audi this morning, and my parts are here in the US from Germany, but they're not at the dealership yet, so we can't really move any further on my engine until they get here. They're supposed to be here today, but that didn't work out, and now they're gonna be here after Thanksgiving, so we're looking at Monday, I think. I'm excited. I'm ready to do some Audi things right after we do some BMW things, but we're just about done with this. Hopefully the headlights show up soon. Everybody's looking for a set of headlights, and as long as we get some, this thing can go down the road.
The fender's the same amount of beat up as the rest of the body.
Exactly, it all matches. It's like perfectly patinaed.
It's the right patina, yeah.
Also, another box showed up today with the oil filter, air filter, new BMW badge, and of course we're waiting on cabin air filter, and what else? Hood struts. Jake and I are out in the $100 Ford Escape that hopefully won't be around in the next like 20 minutes, but we're gonna drive it to O'Reilly's real fast and pick up the O-ring or the thermostat housing gasket for the BMW. And that should pretty much wrap up that project, minus those headlights, and I think I'm waiting like a couple weeks for the headlights, unfortunately. Thanksgiving really messes with everybody in shipping. Quick trip to O'Reilly's for our BMW part. I think we got it. 2.5 liter. Sweet. It's a Felpro 35761. And we are back at my house with the BMW where a few things need to change. But before I get way into this, I want to know what codes it's throwing. So Jake's here and he's got his scanner, of course. So he's hooking it up real fast and he's going to do the code scan while I'd like to take more things apart, but I should probably wait for him so I see what's going on before we get too far into this. So one thing I know is this wire right there is broken, and I assume that's probably one of our big issues. And of course, this temp sensor is broken, so I don't have temp right there. So those are two major things that I know it will be throwing codes for. All right, Jake, what do you got?
What don't I got?
You have some issues here, huh? Okay, system 2, okay, of course, those are because the exhaust is wide open to air. Misfire detected to low fuel, okay. That's crankshaft position is probably that one that's broken up front. Catalyst below threshold, of course. 1 and 2, I mean, there's air dumping into the exhaust. I don't know what that, oh, yep, fuel trims, okay. And the oil and service indicators haven't been, it's like 14,000 miles overdue according to the gauge cluster. So that's not too bad. I mean, that's a pretty reasonable set of codes, I think. All right, I'm not scared. Camshaft position sensor, easy fix. He's gonna kill the ignition. I'm going to rebuild the wiring harness real quick, and those codes should never come back. I'm very excited about this car. It's the sound Weston's truck makes. Secondary air pump. Let's get these hose clamps off here. Pop this thing loose. OEM. I love full OEM repair action. There's our, yes, that's our exhaust leak, as you can see. And it may have even been replaced at one point. But,
It does look shiny.
yeah, we've got all new everything. Now I just need a 10. Look at this, I got that set up. And I can pop this guy off. It's super easy to get to. Already loose. There's our broken air injection solenoid piece. And now I have to go fishing. A new secondary air solenoid gasket, replacement solenoid. Slide this thing on where it belongs, right here. You should be able to see that. You can see the two studs that I'm trying to put that gasket on, but I have to work sort of blind because it's underneath. There, okay, I thought I had it, but I didn't. Here is my replacement solenoid, and you have to hook up this hose right here, this little tiny one. Make sure you get that on there. Tighten down these two 10s, and no more exhaust leak. This guy hooks onto the air pump just like that. So there we go. Pop our MAF off again. Put our new Airbox in here. Pull these two 10s, Airbox is out of the car. You may notice with all my degreasing last night, all of this looks pretty good, except for all of that. But all the rest of this looks pretty good. Here is our new Airbox. Now I have to wash the whole engine bay again. I guess we can reconnect the MAF and then go get the top of the Airbox. The good one's down at Josh's, so I gotta go on a walk, and the new air filter is installed, so everything's looking brand new. Wow! Oh, without the impact, that's not nearly as fun. The other one didn't have a front clip on it, so I just hit this wall with the impact. It took like 3 seconds. But there's 3 different sockets on this guy. You need an 11, a 13, and a 10 to get the thermostat housing off this bad boy. I have to get the old broken temp sensor off of this, so I'll push down that connector and wiggle. There we go. Throw that guy away. Then get ready to lose a little bit of coolant here because it's slightly lower than the top of the expansion tank and the radiator, so probably gonna lose like a pint. Here's how you remove the coolant lines. Easiest thing in the world, of course. They're quick disconnects. You just pull them forward, upper and lower hose. There we go. Got them. Get ready to wiggle. Dump a bunch of coolant. Okay, there we go. Put this over here or something. And now we can make a bigger mess and pop the thermostat housing off. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So there is our one that has a hairline crack right in there. Here's our new gasket, that 35761. I'll throw a link in the description below. And here we go. Gasket this guy up, we can throw it in. No one in town had a new housing, so we got this saved for only $30 today for every part we bought and this new gasket. Put all 3 bolts back, hook up your coolant temp sensor, and you're good to go. Well, maybe hook the hoses back up if you're bored. Our uncracked airbox lid is here. There's leaves falling out of it. Don't worry about those. Okay. We can install this guy. Oh yeah, that is much nicer. Now that the cooling system's all buttoned back up, we can throw some more coolant in this thing. Just a little bit. I know people were complaining about the coolant. This is universal and it will mix with everything. It does not need the BMW blue coolant. We're getting close to the top of the tank here, and then when we start it, I will bleed it real quick, and I think we'll be okay. You wanna do the honors and fire it up? Whoa, it sounds very BMW-like. I am a fan. There we go, we're bleeding the cooling system.
Got there.
What I got here is the coolest thing I ever got. I just went and bought the Milwaukee soldering iron. It flashes green until the tip's hot. And as soon as it turns solid here, look at that, we're good. And it's lit. Okay, so now my battery's dying here and it's kind of upset. We should, there we go. We can solder. This is going to save me hours of my life. So I'll go ahead and tend my gun here. Get it to take a little bit of solder. Come on, come on. Yeah. Sorry, this is very time consuming and pretty boring if you watch it in real time. So we're just gonna be like, yeah, look at that. Cam position sensor all wired back up. These wires got crushed in the accident. So now we got our heat shrink on there. It's all soldered back together, and we'll push the wire loom over this and it will be factory. Look at that. It was even a little bit cleaner from the factory, but that is very good. And we can now reconnect our cam position sensor. And we shouldn't have another check engine light. Also, the engine should probably even sound better because it can time itself again. What's next? E-fan wires. Those ones also got crushed, and I have a whole new harness because this connector broke and that connector broke. We can cut it all the way back here, solder all the wires back up, and it is factory. So this is just some of the trash wiring we just cut out of this thing. It's all been replaced with factory harnesses. There's one left, and it's freezing outside, and I think I kind of want to do it in the morning because it's got 2 sets of twisted pairs, and yeah, it's gonna take a little while to get all those. They're tiny little wires and they all have to be retwisted. I'll do it when I have some dexterity back in my hands because it is super freezing right now. And look at all this nonsense we cut out again. Doing the solder joint on this 12 gauge was a ton of fun. I had to actually, you know, position all the 12 gauge wires, slide them together, and then add a little bit of a twist so that it was like a nice straight joint, and then fill it with solder. So there's tons and tons of solder. It's a great joint. I didn't want to have to repin the connector or anything, so we put the factory harness back together. So that is right here. It's all heat shrinked inside and taped up, ready to go. That'll run the fan. This is that CAN bus. And after that, I think there's only one more broken connector. Where's it at? Right there. And I'm not actually sure what it is. Might be the turn signal. There's a good chance that's the turn signal. And I may not have grabbed that one connector, which would be very sad if that's true. But I'm gonna go throw all this away, and I mean, great progress. Cam position sensor's back, cooling system's finally done here, and all the plastics here. Washer bottle is here to go in, and this is that CAN bus thing. It has 4 pins, and I'm not actually sure what it does or why it needs to be mounted on the front of the engine if it's CAN bus and it doesn't hook to anything. So it's kind of interesting. We'll put the fan shroud back on because it holds this connector and makes all the wiring look clean, and then we'll slide in the washer fluid reservoir there, hook up the pump and the sensor, and every light on the dashboard will be clear except for the headlights. So now we're actually down to just the headlights, and since it's Thanksgiving, I've got nothing to do because no parts are here to work on the thing, so I'll probably do the front window regulators tomorrow too if it's even reasonable outside. This was a lot of fun. We're so close to having this back to just completely OEM, and I'm pumped about it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, and please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I'll talk to you next time. All right, that joint is beautiful. Where am I gonna put this thing?
Things stoner say.
All right, can't put that in there, but it's funny.
Yeah.
These quick disconnect hoses are so great to work with. Until they're not, because they are expensive, needlessly.